Well, all the women have gone out. I am home alone again. So we're going in the shed. We're going to do some wooding. Got a new knife as well. Let's go. Back to the happy place. Lights. I just switched it on. We're in. God, we have got tidying to do, man. Hello, and welcome to the Wonky Workbench. Right, here we are. Microphone attached. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Getting there with this stuff. And this time, I've turned some sound on. Well, I hope I have. Because I don't know sign language though. Right, anyway. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to finish it. So, sorry. I've got a piece of skin on the side of my nose. It's doing me head in. To do that, it's because of that. I can see it if I do this. My dad's clock didn't get finished in time for Christmas. There was other things happening. But today, we're going to do some work on it. And that work will be flattening. Let me give you all a little look at what it looks like at the minute. Happy with the epoxy pattern. I mixed all the colours together, but black was obviously the dominant colour. Can see sort of flakes of other things in there. It's got like a sort of blistered charred wood effect on it. So, but it looks good in its raw form anyway. So that's how we're looking at the minute. And you can see all of those little blister sort of charred details that's in there. Very pleased with that. But we've got to do some flattening on the surface of it, and definitely do some on the back, because that's what the back looks like. We've got quite a bit of epoxy to come off there. The pattern on the back's quite cool actually. That does look like burnt wood. But it's got crosses drawn on and drill holes in it, etc, etc. And that's going to have the clock mechanism into there. Which we have got. Clock mechanism. Hopefully a clock. So, yeah. Let's get to that. Our first stage to do with this is I need to make a sled for the router. And then I have a flattening bit somewhere. Here. We have a flattening bit that goes in the router, and I can just go zip, 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 backwards and forwards, and take little bits off at a time with the flattening bit. And then we'll be able to bring the overall depth of the clock down, because it is quite heavy. Epoxy is obviously heavy. And then once we've got it surfaced on both sides, roughly, we can then start sanding, putting the clock bits in and stuff like that. So let's get doing it. Can't get used to this stool yet, and it's very bouncy. Right, so we're ready to get one's router set up and get to some routing. Now we are going to do this outside because this is going to be ultra messy, and the wife will absolutely kill me. But I can sweep up easier outside than I can inside, so that's what I've decided we're going to do. Right. Bit in. Oh, it's very cold. I haven't even got the air conditioning on, and I'm wearing a t-shirt. Mad head. Maniac. Ah. Right. I've put that in afterwards. Well, that's a bit shit, isn't it? Oh, sorry. I swore. And I swore to the wife that I wouldn't swear on these anymore. Yeah, the wife said I swear way too much. Why am I going to press that at the same time then? Come on, Dean, work this out. You're an engineer, man, for God's sake. Does that come off? Ah. See? Yeah. I should have just got the big router out for this, shouldn't I? I'm going outside. I'm going to be lazy. I need battery power instead of mains power. Right. It's in. Let's go and check the depth. I still might have to use the other router. But we'll go and have a look. Let's have a look outside. La da da da. La da da da. I've got one of them new posh camera stands as well. It's this tin of Dulux satin wood. All the posh gear over here. All the posh gear. Test fire. Lovely. Speed maximum. Router shall sit and go backwards and forwards, up and down like that. But that's a bit too tall. So we'll put these bits of wood down like this, and then that's a bit too low. Let's get some more woods. How's about the ones that I've just cut off? Well, that's not the right shape, but it's like a shark's fin look. Well, this one's right. These are some French cleats that I made for inside the workshop and never used them. But we're going to use them now. Boom. How we're looking, Jeff? How we're looking? Nope, we're not even touching. This is going to be harder than what I thought. But I buy a router sled, Dean. No, I don't want to buy one. I want to be cheap. Bits of kitchens. Lovely. Nope, still not there. We're still not there. How am I going to balance that on that? Oh, hey. Well, that's what I'll do. I'll just not balance it on anything. This could go horribly wrong, couldn't it? I could just set the depth of that. Oh, yes, I can. Right. Pop in and roll in. Let's get it so it's touching, and we'll just do a millimetre at a time. Touching. That much. That's what we're going to do. Right then, this could go terribly wrong, so cue the music. I've identified the flaw with this plan because when I move the sled along, it lays over like that onto the bit that I have already routed. Tis another solution or problem to overcome. Spanners. We always have spanners. plan, execute. No planning, execution, terrible. Piece of wood. Sled. Oh, that's close. Don't dirty the shed. Right, open that. Setting depth. Clamping. I told the wife that I was going to be tidying the shed today, but instead I'm just making more mess. There's loads down there. Right. Moving on, moving on. Well, that took longer than what I thought. Camera's wrong. So after many passes with the router, we have a slightly thinner piece of wood that is ready for sanding. I am freezing because it's about -30 out here, so let's get back in the shed. Oh, we are back in the shed. There's dust everywhere again. I put the air conditioning on, I'm a softie. God, it was cold outside, man. Really cold. Anyway, so while I'm having a little warm with my hands, we have managed to flatten the piece of wood. It still has a hell of a lot of work to do on it. Oh, I just need a little warm up, and then we're ready for the dusty old sanding job. So I've still got to check for some sort of or any imperfections that are on this. My new stool doesn't drive properly, so I know that the router sled that I made was ad hoc and that it wasn't level or anything like that, but I just needed to get some wood off this to make it a little bit thinner. So I went at it in a few different directions, and we're flat. We are flat, but I've got a lot of lines and stuff like that to sand out of it. So it's the wife. Come and say hello. Come on, come on, come on. She's been shopping, but more importantly, she just caught me working in the shed when I said I was going to be tidying up. And she's very camera shy. I'm going to go and see what she's bought me. I'll be back in a jiffy. Right, she's bought me some jeans. Some black ones. I don't like black jeans. I like Levi's 501s, blue, stone wash, cowboy style. Anyway, we digress. Moving on. The wood. Let me give you a look. So, you can see all of the lines. They're not very... You can't feel many of them. That's the back, because it's got the little hole in it there where I drilled to do the circly bit. And the front looks like that. So plenty of lines in it at the minute, but more importantly, let's see if we can get this focused in. There's no little air pockets around the edge. The lines are sharp. Looking very good. And there was a big chip in the wood there that I've managed to get out as well. So I have one little hole, which is there, which I'm going to fill with a little bit of CA glue. So we're ready for sanding. Now, I don't know if any of you actually want to watch the sanding part. Sorry, let me get my legs back out on my tripoddy thing. Put you on my camera stand, painting. So I'm going to do 40 grit on this. The wood doesn't sand very well because it's really, really hard. It's going to be dusty, noisy, and awful. So what I'll do is, I'll do the sanding on this, and after each grit, I'll bring yous back in, and yous can have a little look to see what it's like. And my mate Wayne's coming. I'll get to introduce you to him. Oh, he's been on one before. We're working in the plant room, and Tim got his ass crack out, big lad. But he'll be coming back as well. We might make a few bullets, because he likes his shooting. So anyway, I'll see yous all in a jiffy. Right, I did get sidetracked for a little bit. My friend Wayne come, so we had a chin wag and we made some bullets, and I didn't video any of that. But I have finished doing the 40 grit sanding on the surface of said clockage. There's my stool. Hello, Barney. You come to say hello to the camera, huh? You come to say hello to the camera. There you go. This is Barney, who likes cheese. Shows your voice. Right, we're on camera, so be quiet and behave yourself, alright? So, I'll give you a little look. In fact, I wanted to put... I'll just give it a quick wipe, and I'll just dampen it down so you can see it a little bit better, because it is very dusty. But I'm happy with how the epoxy's adhered to the wood. We've got very nice and crisp lines. Right, liquid. What can I liquidize it with to make it thingy? Rub a little bit of bloody oil on it, won't I? Gun oil. That'll do it. Oh, yes. This is just to illustrate. I think it's best doing this with like terps or something like that. Well, I don't bloody know. For the first coat of sanding, I hope you will agree with me in saying, oh, that is very nice, Dean. There you go. So, after it got flattened, obviously the pattern changed slightly in the epoxy, but it's still very good. All of the lines have disappeared in it. So now we're quite happy on taking that all the way up to sort of, I don't know, maybe 220 grit. And then we can start adding the details. The back is still the same, so it has gone from something like that to something like that with just a little bit of 40 grit sandpaper. So I'll just give that a little wipe down. There you have it. Oh, it looks quite good matte effect actually. Very nice, but very nice wood. And the epoxy pour did get these cracks. It did fill all them, so the cracks have got like bits of black epoxy in and stuff like that. Still got to repair that hole, but easy enough done is that. But just with 40 grit, this stage has gone very, very well. Oh, and we're back. Aircon's been on. It's been cold in here, so I've already had that on. Today we're going to make this piece of wood into a clock. I need to do a little bit of work around the edges on it. Need to get all that sanded down properly. And then we'll pick the orientation, get it going. We have got some numbers. Stick with me on the idea here. Just point that up slightly. So there's obviously lots and lots of different numbers and clock arms and hands to go for. I chose wood for the numbers. I wanted 12, 3, 6 and 9 in Roman numerals, and then little just markers for where the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 etc goes on. And there was a reason behind it, because I'm sticking these onto the face of what we've got at the minute. Oh, they're alright actually. Ooh, very nice. So 5 and 1 there, 3 there. Why have I got an 11? Am I missing something? Why have I got an 11? X1 is 11. Like X2 is 12. I've got an 11. Am I missing something here? They've bloody done me. Oh. Obviously all written in Chinese. Wooden clock number kit. 12, 3, 6, 11. Hold on, am I being stupid here? Am I being stupid here? I can't believe I'm going to have to go onto my phone for this. Wow! I did not know that the Roman numeral for 9 was 1x. Why didn't I know that? Oh yeah, because the only other way it could be is V and 4 1s, couldn't it? That'd be a bit long. Oh, well we're alright then. We're okay. Right, I'm going to slightly place these into position. I'll give you a little look, see what you think. So, as I was saying, I had these made out of wood, or bought these made out of wood, so that when I do a clear epoxy pour over the top, it kind of comes up to the level of the numerals, and when I sand it off, the numerals are still wood poking through, so when I put finish on, you'll still see the wood and it'll be slightly satin effect. But that's what it looks like, which looks pretty cool. I'm happy. I just need to centre, pick orientation, blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. Right. I'm going to put these away in their little bag, because when I've done the other bits I sprayed some oil on this just so we could have a look at what the wood looked like. So I'm going to do a little bit of sanding, and then we'll find centre. We need to do some routing on the back to put the clock mechanism in, and then we're away. Let's do that. Okay, we are sanded back down to 80 grit. I went from 40 to 80 just to give it a good key for when I do the pour. So now I want to find centre on the front. So Alexa, volume 2. I want to find centre on the front, and then we can start drilling holes and routing the back in for the clock mechanism. So, we now need to find centre of the circle. And I hear you say to yourself, how do we find centre of a circle? Well, I know this from years gone by. Probably is at school, because it's the only lesson that I really took notice in is technology. And to find the centre of a circle, all we need is a set square with a rule on it and a pencil. The idea is to draw 3 lines in a sort of triangle formation of the same length, half those lines, and go 90 degrees off them, and we will find centre. I'm going to do 3 lines at 20 centimetres each from the edge of the wood. So I'll place my set square on. From the edge, I'll have 20 centimetres, draw the line, mark the centre, and then move on to doing the next line, and so on and so forth until we find centre. So we have a line up there with the centre marked, a line up there with the centre marked, and a line across there with the centre mark. Now all we do is go 90 degrees off those centre marks, and we'll be in the middle. And at the end of that, line in there, line in there, line up there, and where those lines meet, we have centre. So that we know what size drill hole to make, I'll get the mechanism out and we'll check the diameter of the shaft that goes through. We don't want this a very, very tight fit. But the wood is going to move and stuff like that. So use a set of calipers for this, or vernier gauge, whichever you want to call it. Make sure that they're zeroed. And in millimetres we measure 7.3 mil. So I'll do a 8mm hole for this and we'll see how well it fits in. So when I offer that in, we've got sort of, I don't know, 0.4 of a mil all the way around. Keeps it nice and loose. I'm absolutely fine with that. So now we have to pick where's the top and where's the bottom. Well, I already have a centre line that goes up. I think we'll have the epoxy running up vertical. And now that we've got a vertical line on there, I can offer the clock mechanism in, draw around it, and then we can make up a little jig for the router to be able to go around. So to get the clock mechanism flush at the back so we can hang it on the wall properly, again we're just going to have a little measure. So on the shaft I've stuck the little brass washer on there, and obviously the thickness of this is going to change when I put the numbers and put the epoxy coating on the top. So I'm going to allow for the thickness of the numbers basically as the thickness of the epoxy. So if I put that into the vernier, flush is 31mm. That's flush to the face, and that'll be where my hour hand goes on. So then, taking into account the thickness of this and the thickness of the material, then we'll be able to set the depth of the router, and we'll get that set up. Right, so we've got our shape routed into the back, and now I just need to make sure that the depth is correct. So if we get our clock mechanism and poke that in, now all I've done is I've taken off the exact depth of the clock mechanism itself at the back. Now we're just poking through, which isn't enough, and don't forget that we've got the numbers and the epoxy to go onto the face. So if I take a quick measurement of that, this should hopefully tell us how much more we need to take off. We've got about 10mm to come out. So I done that part freehand with a router, but just to save time a little bit, I have got some little router bits with bearings on, so I can just plunge it straight in. And this one that I have got is 11.9mm deep. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to set the bearing height to at the top of that hole, which would be 17mm down off the shaft, which was the other measurement that I took. So that appears to be deep enough now, but I'm just going to do a quick test fit. We've got a rubber shim that goes on the back of the clock mechanism, brass wash, brass nut that goes on the front, so I just want to get those on, and then, oh, I dropped the bits, trust me, man. Butterfingers here. So we have a rubber washer that goes on the back of the clock mechanism. And then when we drop that through, we have a little brass washer, little brass nut. So let's get her through and see what depth we've got to play with. Bearing in mind we want this as close as possible, but we have got the epoxy to go on the surface. That's tight already. I think we need to take another couple of mil off that. So you can see on there, there's no sort of brass threads left. So I think another couple of mil, and that'll keep us in line with when we put the numbers and the epoxy on. And we're not in a rush, are we? So might as well make it perfect. Okay, so we have the clock mechanism depth set. Now we need to start adhering our numbers onto it. So for that, I've already got a vertical line that I've mounted the clock mechanism to. So I'm going to go 90 degrees off that, and then I'll work out the angles of the other ones, and we'll get those stuck on. And we can have a little final sand of this before we actually stick them on after I've got it marked. Let's go. So to get the locations of the 1, 2, 4, 5s, etc, etc, we've now got a vertical and horizontal cross equaling 90 on each side. To find the other ones, it's equally divide. So if we go 0, 30, 60, 90, and then we can do 0, 30, 60, 90 degrees all the way around, and then we'll get them in the right spot. And we'll get that using a speed square. So I've now got all 12 points marked up on there, but obviously I need to sand all of these marks off before mounting the numbers and doing the epoxy pour. So because I've done a round overcut on the edges, I'm going to overlap these marks onto the side, so I can then sand this flat and then do a measurement off the side and bob the number on. So we're back sanded down, we're nice and smooth. I have taken it to 120 grit. That's just to get some of the swirl marks out of the epoxy for when the clear goes on, but still gritty enough that I can get these numbers to stick. Now they're just 3M self-adhesive numbers, so I've got one chance of getting these on properly. Can't even get the bloody stickers off the back. Got it. There's the second one on. Oh, we're going all right now. Oh, we're getting there. we're starting to look like a clock. Oh, he's happy with that. He's happy with that. Right. I've just got to rub the pencil marks off around the edges of it with some sandpaper. We're ready for epoxy. Ooh. Right. Let me get prepared for it. See you in a sec. Right, we are ready for making resin. So I've just been in the house and warmed up the resin. Oh, I just bobbed it on there on the radiator for a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to do a 100ml pour, which will be 50ml of the resin and 50ml of the hardener. So this is my little table that I've set up because I want this epoxy to run off the edges, so I've just put a board underneath it so when it runs off the clock it'll just hit the board and hopefully not go anywhere else. We're not putting a great deal of epoxy down here. So it says it's recommended to stir this for about 3 to 5 minutes, which I think it's been round about that. It does look all the right consistency anyway. There's quite a few little air bubbles in it though. I don't know if we'll leave it whether they'll rise to the top or not. No, I think we just pour. So epoxy is really good at self-leveling itself when it's at the right temperature, etc. Here I'm just helping it get a good spread and get all in them little nooks and crannies of the numbers, etc. And a good coating around the edge, just to minimise the chances of getting any like serious air bubbles. So we have the first coat of top coat epoxy onto the clock, and I'm over the moon, to be honest. Let me show you. After all the work, it's starting to look like a clock. We're going to do 2 coats or maybe 3 coats of the clear coat epoxy on the top, just to give it some depth so I can polish it up as well. But for the first coat, seal all the wood, seal all the epoxy. It's got it all the way around the edges. Very, very, very pleased. Right, let it dry. So we have reached the end of this video. I can't complete the video this weekend because I need to do multiple coats of the top coat to get it up to the size or the height of the wooden numbers that's on the clock. So I'll do the final assembly and polish of it next weekend because I work full time. But I mean, there's a clear indication of what the clock's going to look like there. And again, I would just like to thank everybody for watching the videos. I know it's been a long one, but I'm new to this stuff and I don't really know what I'm doing. So people say show more, people say talk less. I try stuff like that and I'm trying to speed it all up. I'm getting there with it. I think I'm getting there with it. And I think you'll all agree that the project so far is looking mighty fine. So I've got to give this coat of epoxy 24 hours to dry. So after 24 hours, it'll still be a little bit tacky and I can pour straight over the top of it. After 72 hours, it's fully cured then, and I've lost it if I want to put another coat on. So I'll do this during the week on the night time, and I'll do the final assembly of it next weekend, and then hopefully we can hand it over to my dad and he can have a clock in his house, which has been the idea all along. But super, super happy with how it's turned out. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't done already, don't forget, like, subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one.